Video number 90 from MythoReligio series, Book 4. The Great Pyramid of Khufu in Giza, Egypt, Africa. Part 2. Dear fellow truth seekers, in this channel I have shared with you some mysterious megalithic constructions in Europe, the Middle East, and South America. And until today it remains a mystery as to how did our supposedly primitive ancestors build them. Then, in the past few weeks, I have shared information about other ancient megalithic constructions in a specific pyramidal shape that are found all over the continents in the world, i.e. Africa, America, Asia, and Europe. Although in video number 84, I have also shared briefly about the types of pyramids that are found in Egypt, in video number 89 and in this video, I'm going into further analysis to learn more about the unsolved mysteries that are surrounding the most famous pyramid in the world that is located in that region. That is the Great Pyramid of Khufu in Giza. According to mainstream historians, the pyramids in the Giza plateau were built by three kings of the 4th dynasty at between 2575 until 2465 BCE, i.e. King Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, as funerary structures. The building of the biggest pyramid, that is the Great Pyramid, was attributed to King Khufu. However, this fact has now been argued by some researchers, because none of the 4th dynasty kings put their names on the pyramids supposedly constructed in their times. Yet, from the 5th dynasty onwards, the other pyramids had hundreds of official inscriptions, leaving us no doubt about which kings built them. Another mystery that begs to be answered is the mathematical complexity, engineering requirements, and the sheer size of the Giza Plateau pyramids represent an enormous, seemingly impossible leap in over the 3rd dynasty buildings. Why? Contemporary Egyptological explanation cannot account for this leap, nor can they account for the clear decline in mathematics, engineering, and size of the constructions of the 5th dynasty. Textbooks speak of religious upheaval and civil wars, but there is no evidence whatsoever of this having occurred. So, while it is possible that most of the pyramidal structures built around the world, including in Egypt, were once dedicated as a place of worship and/or burial, the Great Pyramids of Giza might have another mysterious purpose. The attribution to Khufu of the 4th dynasty Egyptian as the builder of the Great Pyramid is founded solely upon three very circumstantial pieces of evidence. 1. Unverifiable legends told by the Greek historian Herodotus. 2. Inscriptions of Khufu as the reigning pharaoh at the funerary complex near the Great Pyramid. 3. Some small red ochre paint marks on the pyramid that have a slight resemblance to a hieroglyphic symbol for the name of Khufu, that most likely were forgeries. We have also learned from the inventory stela that Pharaoh Khufu did not build this pyramid. The inventory stela was discovered in a small temple dedicated to the goddess Isis by Auguste Mariette, French archaeologist and Egyptologist, in 1858. The inscription also referred Isis as the mistress of the pyramid, implying that the monument had been dedicated to this goddess of magic and not to Khufu at all, as it was long suggested. The stela dates back to the 26th dynasty, an epoch known as the Saitic period, circa 670 BCE. It contains, among others, a list of 22 different divine statues owned by a temple of Isis. The stela, of which the original size is unknown because it was already damaged when it was found, is made of polished granite and decorated with a commemorative inscription on a so-called apparition window. The text left on the inventory stela disagrees that Pharaoh Khufu of the 4th dynasty built the Great Pyramid, the Sphinx and other Giza statues, because it states that both the Great Pyramid and the Temple of Isis existed before the time of Khufu. It also tells how Khufu came upon the Sphinx already buried in the sand. The construction. Now let us briefly consider a few matters concerning the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza, matters which clearly indicate that the builders of the 4th dynasty Egypt did not have the engineering capacity to erect the Great Pyramid. We do not have the capacity even today, and that this structure was used for a purpose altogether different from mere burial. The Great Pyramid of Giza is constructed with approximately 2.3 million until 2.6 million limestone and granite blocks, weighing between 2.5 and 50 tons each. The stone blocks had to be quarried from the earth. Herein lays our first unsolved problem. In the Cairo Museum, one can see several examples of simple copper and bronze saws, which Egyptologists claim are like those utilized in the cutting and shaping of the pyramid blocks. These tools present a problem. On a Mohs scale of mineral hardness, copper and bronze have a hardness of 3.5 to 4, while limestone has a hardness of 4 to 5, and granite of 5 to 6. The known tools would only barely cut through limestone and would be useless with granite. No archaeological examples of iron tools are found in early dynastic Egypt. Yet, even if they were, the best steels today have a hardness of only 5.5 and thus are inefficient for cutting granite. Some years ago, Sir Flinders Petrie, one of the fathers of Egyptology, proposed that the pyramid blocks had been cut with long saw blades studded with diamonds or corundum. But this idea presents problems too. The cutting of millions of blocks would require millions of rare and expensive diamonds and corundum, which constantly wear out and require replacement. It has been suggested that the limestone blocks were somehow cut with solutions of citric acid or vinegar. Yet, these very slow-acting agents leave the surface of the limestone pitted and rough, unlike the beautifully smooth surface found on the casing stones. And these agents are completely useless for the cutting of granite. The truth is, we have no idea how the blocks were actually quarried. The unsolved problem of how the 2.3 million very heavy blocks were transported to the building site of the pyramid is even more mystifying. How were the blocks taken to the nearly 500 foot or nearly 150 meters height of the pyramid's summit? The Danish civil engineer P. Gard Hansen has calculated that a ramp built all the way to the top of the pyramid would require 17.5 million cubic meters of material. This representing more than 7 times the amount of material used for the pyramid itself, and a workforce of 240,000 to build it in the time allotted by Khufu's reign. But if this enormous ramp were built, it would then require a force of more than 300,000 laborers, as much as 8 years to dismantle. Where would all the ramp material have been placed, since it is not to be found anywhere near the pyramid? And what of maneuvering the precisely carved blocks into place without damaging the corners? Various lifting devices and levers have been proposed by modern engineers. Remember, no existing dynastic records, paintings, or friezes give any clue to this mystery. But none solve the problem of how the 50-ton blocks of the main chamber were lifted and positioned using an area where only 4 to 6 workers could stand, when the strength of at least 2,000 would be needed. Next, we come to perhaps the most extraordinary problem, that of the fashioning and placement of the highly polished limestone casing stones that covered the entire pyramid. The finished pyramid contained approximately 115,000 of the stones, each weighing 10 tons or more. The stones were dressed on all 6 of their sides, not just the side exposed to the visible surface, to tolerance of 0.01 inch, that are set together so closely that a thin razor blade cannot be inserted between the stones. Egyptologist Petrie expressed his astonishment of this feat by writing, "Merely to place such stones in exact contact would be careful work, but to do so with cement in the joint seems almost impossible. It is comparable to the finest optician work on the scale of acres." Herodotus, visiting in the 5th century BCE, reported that inscriptions of strange characters were to be found on the pyramid's casing stones. In 1179 CE, the Arab historian Abdul Latif recorded that these inscriptions were so numerous that they could have filled more than 10,000 written pages. William of Baldensal, a European visitor of the early 14th century, tells how the stones were covered with strange symbols arranged in careful rows. Sadly, in 1356 CE, following an earthquake that leveled Cairo, the Arabs robbed the pyramid of its beautiful casing of stones to rebuild mosques and fortresses in the city. As the stones were cut into smaller pieces and reshaped, all traces of the ancient inscriptions were removed from them. A great library of ageless wisdom was forever lost. Dear fellow truth seekers, in this video I'm not going into deeper analysis yet, nor share my personal theory. Right now, I'm just sharing some information concerning this pyramid and other megalithic constructions first. However, based on everything I've shared in this channel alone, I can confidently state that the chronology of humanity's prehistory is incorrect. Also, as time goes by, older and older findings keep on coming up to the surface. Therefore, it is safe to say that I think our prehistory is much, much older than what is told by conventional historians. I will share my personal theory when it is time to do so, after sharing all the information needed to draw a conclusion. I'm ending this video for now and will continue with the third part of a more detailed information concerning the Pyramid of Khufu next week. At the meantime, allow me to thank you for watching and hope to see you next week.